Hello everybody and welcome to Pravus Gaming. Let's start up a new Surviving the Aftermath series today, a post-apocalyptic colony survival game that we actually did a Let's Try video for not too long ago when this game first entered early access on the Epic Games Store. Now in that video, a lot of people expressed their strong reservations about the Epic Games Store, and that's fine, okay. However, even more people expressed a desire to see more of this game as it continues to develop, and since it has gone through a couple of updates since early access first began, I thought it'd be fun to kind of just jump in, do a few videos of Surviving the Aftermath, see if the game is progressing, and find out where it's going to be going over the next few months, because it does have a long way to go before the final state. It is still very much in early access, but it should be playable and still fun. Now, as far as our difficulty for today's map, we're going to go for a pretty difficult, but not outrageously difficult. Not a full 100%, because I don't know, I don't feel like wasting all my time. So let's go for the planet is a barren wasteland and not very fertile at all for farming. Only common catastrophes, because if you get the wrong catastrophe early enough in the game, it can absolutely destroy you, and it's just bad luck, and there's no surviving. There's no recovery. So I don't want to deal with that today. Scarce starting resources is fine. 6 adults, hard exploration, and a challenging but fair survivalist system. Okay, seems good. What symbol do we want? I kind of like the idea of the muskrat, or is that a possum? I think it might be a muskrat. Either way, I want to eat it. And place it on green for the contrast. There we go. That looks pretty good. Keeving, Airchester, Pleawood. There's not a whole lot of good names, unfortunately, and there really need to be more. We'll call it somewhere, sure. And then our motto is, I guess we'll stick with this, never conquered, always feared. Yeah, that sounds great. It's practically the closest we'll get to imperialism, right? All right, so here's a quick summary. Let's start up a new game in somewhere and see how well we can survive. Okay, here we are. Fairly bleak, but wide open. Not a terrible starting location as far as I can tell. We have 8 colonists, 6 of them are adults, and 2 are unproductive children. Yay. Alright, so we need to place down a lot of starting buildings. And one trick that I found pretty early on in the game is if you hit F11, it opens up the grid map right now so you can see where things are going to be placed and get some sense of where fertile and barren land is going to be located. Because obviously in the fertile land, green, blue, and so on, we want to be placing down our farms. We want to save as much of the space as possible because we already know we're on a barren planet and there's not a whole lot of farming space, so it's extra precious. Yellow is barren territory. We can place down our housing, our production buildings, and so on. So I'm good with this. So this gives me a good idea. You can kind of tell visually where these boundaries are located, but it's just a little bit helpful for me as an early game guide. So let's see. We want to place down probably some farms ASAP because I want to make sure we get our food and our water situation figured out. Obviously, I need to make sure that everyone is going to stay nice and fed. So let's see. If we place... Well, let's see. Apparently, you can go slightly onto some barren territory, but not totally. So if I place... No, this isn't barren at all. Oh, see, now I thought that this was going on... This corner was going on to barren land, but it's not. Okay, so we can actually place, like, right over here, then. And this is as far over as we can get. Right next to our food storage. All right, we'll place down a couple of farms over here. Start generating some food. People can sleep on the ground, and it's not a huge deal too early on in the game. It really isn't. But, once they starve, well, that's just game over, isn't it? So, let's see. Place one right here. I guess I will go ahead and cancel you and just move you so you guys can be next to each other and just be nice and uniform. Okay, so we have 4 farms going down. That should be more than enough food in the early game to support 6 people. And then I want to get down some water. We need a water well. And let's see. Now, the water does coincide with the fertile territory, which makes perfect sense to me. So we're going to place down right over here, probably. That gets me 9 water, which is enough for now. But obviously we want to keep an eye on that, because if we run out of water, then we're in trouble. We may want to get ourselves some water storage with a water tower at some point, just in case a catastrophe comes along. Let's say a heat wave and people need twice as much water, or else they die of thirst. I don't know. These things do sometimes happen. For our stockpile, let's go ahead and start gathering up some lumber and also some concrete, if we can. Where's a good source of concrete? There's a bit of both over here. I'll go ahead and set this for now and gather up both of those, but we're going to need a lot. We do need to make sure we start taking advantage of plastic and metal stockpiles pretty soon. And there's actually quite a few nearby, which is surprising to me, but okay. Yeah, I'm A-okay with this. That's great. Now, you may be wondering, why are you going for the farms immediately and not going for the berries, which are located right here? I've heard that a good strategy is to leave these alone for now, because they don't really go away. And if you have a heat wave or, let's say, some radiation or something like that that shuts down your farms, you still have a supplementary storage of food sitting right here that you can gather up for emergencies. So I think that's a smart idea. We're going to go ahead and do that for the time being. All right, some farms are done. we need to plant some crops. I'm going to start by planting just corn. It only has a low yield of food, yes, but it grows faster than the potatoes. And since I think right now just getting a source of food regardless of quality is super important, we'll start with that. All right. Now, once people have finished sowing all of the seeds, they will automatically become regular gatherers and go gather up the lumber and the concrete that I've requested. So I'll leave them here for now, but we can always pull them off after it's sown. They'll just grow on their own, and we can just micromanage a bit more as needed. All right. Finish up the well, please. How's this looking? And there we go. Okay. Fertile tiles produce more what now? What did I see there? Fertile tiles produce more water than normal ones because barren tiles produce one. Or none, sorry. What qualifies exactly as fertile? Is that where the dark blue comes in? I'll bet you it is. Yeah, probably. Whatever. We're not next to a blue area, so we're just going to have to make do with that. All right, go and gather supplies for me, please. Now, you might think it's a really bad thing to be right next to this nuclear waste. And it probably is. We want to clear this out as soon as we can and free up some more farming land. We shouldn't get irradiated too much, though. No more than we already are. I mean, let's be honest. We're living on a post-apocalyptic Earth, for some reason. So, everyone's basically dying anyway.
Huh?
Have you finished sowing? Okay, so we have a couple of idle workers not doing anything. Let's go ahead and start placing down some gathering buildings. No, let's start by placing down a shelter for the adults. Now, there's a couple of shelters at the beginning of the game. We have access to the tents and the emergency shelters. The tents only house 2 people, and they're very cheap. The emergency shelters house triple that number, 6, but cost less than triple the cost. So I think these are generally going to be more efficient to go for right off the bat. And let's make sure we stick to our barren territory. I want to be relatively close to the farms because I want people to be able to quickly run out to their jobs, harvest, dump it in the food stockpile, and then go do other things. So right there seems perfectly reasonable to me. And I believe that the game is smart enough to prioritize giving the working adults housing and letting the children sleep on the hard ground outside with the wild animals. That seems a little bit cruel, I know, but it's actually very practical because the adults are the ones who've been working, so they're the ones that need to rest. What are you doing? He's having fun. He's having fun just standing there and shimmying and shaking. Okay? No, if that's your idea of fun, you know what? Good on you. I can't judge at all. All right, let's see. So we need to get ourselves some gathering buildings. I want to get a gate early on, and the gate can only be built once, but it attracts survivors who want to join the colony, and eventually traders and so on. So getting more people, more labor added into the colony is going to be very, very important, but for this we need more metal and a little bit more plastic. So I think we need to start with some gathering buildings. A tool shop, no, not a tool shop, sorry, a scrapper and a recycler, that's what we want, yes. Okay, so if I place down a, let's see, take a quick look at the grid here. Okay, so there's some fertile land over here. I don't want to infringe upon that too much. But I do want to be kind of close to our stockpiles so we can just drop things off. Let's try placing right up over here. Yes. Okay, so we're going to place down... I don't like how you have to cycle through so many of those map modes there. We're going to place down our scrapper so we can go ahead and start getting some of the metal. And then we will also need our recycler. For that, of course, we need a lot more lumber and concrete, which I'm currently working on. Place both of them nearby. I guess that's perfectly fine. All right, and we do not need to assign these guys here anymore, so I'm going to pull the farmers off while the crops grow and let them do their thing. All right, so we already have used up the planks, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and finish up the concrete. 2 people are working on that. 1 more, and that's that. Okay, let's go for another stockpile. Over here, I guess, will be fine. It's a little far away, but I want to be gathering up both the lumber and the concrete right now. I know we could just focus exclusively on lumber really quickly and then go and work exclusively on concrete and stuff, I know. But I know that I need both, and I just don't want to have to worry about it too much. All right, so we were actually able to build both of these up surprisingly quickly. I didn't think I'd have the materials for it. Perfect. Let's go ahead and gather up some scrap metal, and let's gather up some scrap plastic. I'll make sure we prioritize the close-by one in case. There we go. All right, so go gather some of that stuff while we gather more materials. For the gate, we need 15 metal, 5 plastic, 15 lumber. We're actually very close to having this done already. Okay, so let's go ahead and place it right here. This should not take too long. I'm going to go ahead and assign a second person to scrap for now, just so we can get this a little bit faster. But yeah, as we continue getting in the lumber and stuff, I think we should be done. That's easy enough. Okay, that was a pretty quick gate then. Not bad. Gate early on in day 2. That's what I like to see. Insufficient construction materials. That is, yes, just the lumber and the metal. Working on it. Low on food. Yes. But to be honest, I think we're okay. I guess we could temporarily gather from this berry bush just to make sure we have 8 meals and people can survive one more day. Because it only takes like 2 days to gather up your corn. Or to, yeah, 2 days for it to grow. So if we gather up even just like 1 berry, that's like 1 more meal done, and the people will survive the next day. Probably. Okay, yeah, just waiting on the metal to be done. Perfect. All right. Yeah, fine. And let's go ahead and pull off of this now. I don't want to use up the berries. I just wanted a couple of meals. There it is. And yes, by the way, I have learned from my Let's Try video that apparently, technically, a watermelon is a berry after all. I know. My world was rocked too. I was like, that cannot be correct. We all know what berries are. Berries are like raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. Ironically enough, strawberries, not a berry. Because the seeds are on the outside. Science is stupid sometimes. Oh, we have these smart little classification systems, and we've confused everybody. Yeah, whatever, it's fine. In a post-apocalyptic Earth, there are no rules. I'm going to say that a watermelon is not a berry. How's that sound? Sounds good enough to me. All right, so we are building up the gate. No problems there. Let's just keep gathering up some basic materials. We do have our plastic coming in. We can pull off people on metal a little bit. I don't need this much metal too early on. We do want to get ourselves a second structure of emergency shelters. So let's go ahead and rotate that around, and I'll place it close by, but I'll leave some space in between so that people can walk around as much as they need to. I like not having like long walls of buildings that people have to walk all the way around if I can avoid it. All right, so we're going to need to harvest this pretty soon. Do we let people starve for a day? Yeah, I'm going to let people starve for a day, and then we'll harvest, I think. They shouldn't die right away, right? I want to get as much of this corn as possible, and that means we have to wait 1 more day. 1 more day, and then we can go for the harvest. In the meantime, how are we doing in terms of resources? Pretty good. We have shelter for everybody, so the children aren't sleeping outside anymore. That's probably a good thing. What else do we need? We can probably get started making some things like tools and clothing. We have a little bit right now, though, so I don't think that's a super high priority. Let's see. Let's go ahead and place down some roads. I would like people to be able to move around a little bit faster. We haven't left ourselves a lot of space between the food storage and all that, but I plan on getting rid of these stockpiles eventually. That's just a temporary measure. And then something like this should be just fine, yeah. And then do we leave any space in between these? Of course we didn't. Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine, not a big deal. We have some colonists who have arrived at the gate. We need to make a decision. It's a bit odd how the government just disappeared. It's almost as if they had a backup plan ready for when the country wasn't useful anymore. Oh, is it Fallout? It might be. So we have 2 adults, no children. That's actually ideal because we don't want children. Children are unproductive and eat all your food until they grow up. So adults are good. These guys are bringing a ton of supplies with them. Canned food, tools, clothes, and what the heck is this? Medicine? I think it might be some sort of medicine. For a second, I thought it might be blue slippers. But no, I think it's pills. Maybe it's iodine or something. Ooh, cool. Okay, yeah, so we want to accept these guys, absolutely. And we will get our first specialist for the big map, and that's going to be Platty, who's wearing a platypus for some reason. No idea how that happened unless this is all occurring in Australia. That might be the case. But if that's the case, then why are you a great Nordic adventurer who claims to have been the Empress of Sweden? An enthusiastic city designer who would not mind taking her troops into great wars. I don't think you know what a city designer is, Platty. Also claims to have been part of a wizarding cult and have helped aliens dominate the galaxy. A very talented person indeed, no doubt. Might be a little bit cracked in the head, too. So we can get some exploration skill with you, good research, good scavenging, pretty good recovery. You're not too bad. Absolutely, we are going to accept these people, get a couple more workers that we have to feed. But they've got so many tools and so much food, it's well worth it, in my opinion. This does mean we need more water, though. So let's go ahead and place down another water well somewhere. Down over here is probably okay. Yeah, I want to make sure I gather up as much as I can. This appears to be the most efficient placement. All right, we're going to go for that then. Just trying to make sure we take advantage of every single fertile tile over here because water is going to be very scarce going into the game. We can take a look at the world map now and actually do some exploration. Looks like there are some abandoned cities off this away. There's also a load of food, which is nice. I don't know if I need the food, to be honest, though, because so far we're doing okay. With those extra canned goods, we're fine. So let's go ahead and explore over here and just see what's going on. We find a source of metal. That's nice. However, there's a 33% chance of danger. Okay, You know, I wish the real world came with a percentage chance of danger. Might make very informed decisions if that happened. We need a lot more concrete. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and move the work area over here for now. And let's just prioritize that concrete nice and nearby, because we need that. I need that water well going. And then I might want to get a water tower, just because I have died in this game from disasters in the past where I just ran out entirely of water. Obviously, that's not ideal. I believe specialists can queue up actions now, by the way. That should be a thing, if I saw the updates correctly, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm not going to worry about the food, and I'm not going to worry about the metal this second. We're okay, I think. Well, are we okay? Yeah, we're okay. Let's just go ahead and do some more exploration and find out what's nearby. A source of concrete, okay. That seems fine. I do like having that. There are outposts in the game now, apparently. And outposts, I'm not sure how you do it, but you have to, like, set up an outpost center, and you place it somewhere on the world map, and instead of having to gather resources and take them all the way back home, they can just drop them off at the nearest outpost, and that's fine. Also, apparently on the world map, there are now different factions and you can trade with, which I think sounds really promising. All right, let's go ahead and assign people to work here, because pretty soon we are going to need this. We are running low on the food. I think we go ahead and just do harvest now. It'll grow a tiny bit more as they are working, but yeah, let's just go ahead and harvest and just get the food. That way we don't have any more issues, and we will survive a little bit longer. All right, we should have all the materials we need for the water well, so that's going to be getting done relatively soon as well. Do we think we need another food source, like a 5th farm right now? Not this exact second, no, I think we're okay. And I actually do think that maybe I want to use the food storage to gather up these berries right here. Clear them out, because it's kind of in the fertile area. I'm going to need as much space down here for farming as possible, so let's just get rid of it. One thing I would like early on is some science. Science would certainly make me, help me get a lot of new buildings, some improvements to our productivity, and so on. All of that seems relatively important to me. We're doing fine on tools and clothing. I don't feel like we need to do that right now at all. So what do I want, aside from exploration? I guess we could start working on a forester. The only problem with a forester is I think you have to grow on fertile soil. So it uses up a lot of potential farming space. That said, with a forester in conjunction with, let's say, things like a trapper, you can get more food. And you can also do it in conjunction with a sawmill, so you can gather up some more consistent lumber. But early on in the game, I think we're fine just scavenging the lumber. So I don't think we necessarily need to do that. So maybe we want to go ahead and preemptively get things like the water tower, maybe another shelter so we can have more survivalists want to come into the colony. There is no place for fish as far as I can tell. We're pretty barren in that sense. So yeah, let's go ahead and place down a water tower. Where am I going to place you? Somewhere where there's not a lot of space between my housing and my fertile territory. So like right here is perfect, actually. We can place down a water tower right here. It's not going to use a potential farming space, and it's going to get tucked away. Perfect. All right, that way we have some storage for our water, and we'll survive a little bit longer. Hey, look, there's a wild boar that might occasionally attack the colonists. I have no idea how you clear these away, and I've never actually been attacked by one before. And there's also a majestic deer. Let's eat it! Or something, I don't know. All right, so they are trying to construct. We are out of lumber, though, so obviously I'll need to gather up some of that now. Let's go ahead and move you guys over here, I guess. Go ahead and gather up some more piles. I feel like you can only have 2 carriers working on a pile at a time. So if you have 6 carriers, you probably want to have 3 sources available in your work zone. I don't know if that's true, though. Don't quote me on it. Let's go explore over here. I'm still looking for science. I think we're okay on these early resources. I found science! Science has been discovered! So can we queue up a movement here? I thought you could. I thought I saw that in the patch notes. But maybe I'm wrong on that point. We are in version 1.2. All right. A wandering merchant has approached the site. Okay, good. We could trade away some clothing. No, gain clothing at the cost of metal. I don't know how much I care about that. I mean, I guess we could. We don't need the metal right now, and it does save me some time, but we also have fibers and stuff already. I don't think I necessarily need this. I'm going to say no. We don't need clothes right now. We have enough clothes to last for a while, fortunately. And metal we might need for other projects. And metal, of course, is a finite resource on the game due to these metal piles. Though that has changed recently. Apparently, new buildings have been added into the game where you can scavenge metal using, like, big cranes or something like that out of barren areas. So maybe you can get it now. I don't know. I haven't experimented with that. That's pretty far into the game. Let's go for a medical tent. I am confident at some point soon we're going to wish we had this. And I'll place you right over here, I guess, for now. What are we doing on the world map? Can I move you yet? No, we gotta wait a little bit longer. Still insufficient materials for our construction tents over here as well. Yeah, we just need lumber. We need a lot more lumber. Once the farmers are done, I think this should go a lot faster. In fact, it is growing here. You're still cultivating. You're cultivating. You're cultivating. Some of these guys are faster than the others. And, oh, wait, no. I need you to plant still. Wait, it's planting even without her. What's going on? Maybe it just takes a little while to, like figure out that she's not supposed to be there anymore. I don't know. Okay, well, that's certainly kind of fun. Speaking of fun, something you can do with the colonists now is you can rename them if you feel so inclined. So, let's see. Let's go to the Discord and see who's online. What patrons do I have right now? So, instead of Finley, your name is going to be Black... Whoop, I have caps lock on. Black... Methos? Just Black Metho. All right, you're just going to be Black Metho now. What about you? Area? Nah, you're going to be renamed to... Telsior, the Dragon Lord of something something, I don't know. Yeah, just find the patrons and say, congratulations, you get to live in a post-apocalyptic Earth now. What do we have here? Zealotus? Yeah, I'm just going to do 3 for now, but I'll do some more in-between videos, probably. Just get some guys involved. I want to see you all suffer on this planet. I think that'd be kind of fun. You guys make me suffer on Discord often enough, right? It's only fair. All right, so, Platty, let's go gather some science, of which there's like 313. Good, we just sent 200 science back home. What can I do with the science? Let's see. If we go to the tech tree here, we can find out. So, we can go for food with communal eating. Communal eating is nice. It opens up the cookhouse and the logging camp. So, you can basically cook the food and get more meals out of it, which is nice. You also can use the logging camp to produce firewood. At this point, we do want to actually start using the... the forester to actually gather proper trees, though. We can also work toward advanced farming for the large fields, which is absolutely worthwhile. You can get a lot of food production out of that. Energy production for solar panels is nice, but not important right now. We would need parts and components, and we haven't found any on the world map yet. So once we find a source of that, we'll go for energy production, but until then, eh. Communal living for extra housing, good, but not absolutely crucial right now. General storage is okay. Exploration for bartering, we can access the trade center and start trading with other societies who we haven't found yet. So I'm going to say that communal eating is what we want to go for. Just for now, since nothing else is very valuable. But that gives me a couple new things to build, so I'm happy about that. Alright, so yeah, we're working on that water tower still. Medical tents, we need plastics. Okay, I guess we can go ahead and assign someone else to plastic for a little bit, since we do have an extra worker available. You guys don't need to be here anymore, so I'm just going to micromanage so I have an accurate sense of how many gatherers we actually have useful. Specialist is ready for more action. Great, let's go ahead and gather some more science, of which we have gathered another 113. Perfect. If we go to the tech tree, we can go for the advanced farming and access those large fields I was talking about. All right, done. So, we have access to better fields, which means when we start needing more food, we can go for more efficient farming. Actually, how large is a large farm? Let's see. Large field. It is definitely larger than the small fields. So one of these is probably more effective than two small fields. I don't know how many workers it requires, though. I'll bet you one person can maintain a large field. So maybe it's more effective for our... or more efficient from a labor perspective. I'm not too sure. All right, so we should be gathering up some water. We have 380 currently in storage and still building it up, so that's fine. I think we do start with like 300 storage, but I'd like to get up to 1,000 if possible. It does make a difference eventually. All right, still please gather up that plastic. Let's go ahead and make sure we get a medical tent. Usually somebody's injured by now, but that hasn't been a problem apparently, so that's good. Still gathering up lumber. We're running a little low on concrete. We are going to need that. We could go ahead and gather up some. There's 42 that we can take back home, and that is nice. I guess we can probably take the risk, right? It's not a big deal? I don't know about how I feel about that. Maybe we should just keep exploring and find out what else is going on. Let's go over here and just explore into this region. We found a safe source of lumber in an old truck. Okay. Still no sign of bandits, but that will be happening in the near-ish future. Should we go for the cookhouse then? Now, that requires the lumber plus some corn and creates a better meal. It's very effective as far as preserving our food and getting a lot more meals out of it. But again, I need to figure out how we're going to deal with the wood situation. So what if we place down a forester somewhere? Where do I have some fertile land that I don't plan on using for farming immediately? I guess the closest still is over here. If I place it down over, like, let's say here, I'll take up kind of a corner of this area. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Let's place down a forester there. Take up a corner of our fertile territory. I probably should save it for farms, but if I can just get up over here, we got a lot more space for large farms. Just need to make sure we clear out the rest of this plastic, the rest of the lumber, the metal, and eventually work our way to some sort of an environmental facility so we can clear out the nuclear waste with hazmat suits. Because that seems rather important. All right, let's see. We can place down a road up over here. Let's just go ahead and do some stuff like this. Make sure that people are able to get around easily. Platy still doesn't have any more movement points, so I should watch for that pop-up over there. Plank depleted. I think we're still waiting for more colonists. I need to get to more workers. Like, sooner rather than later would be ideal. If I place down the logging camp, cut down trees in a specific area, I think we can move our work area. It doesn't have to be over here. Or does it? Maybe it does. Okay. If I place you down over here, relatively close to our forester, we'll have a constant source of wood coming in. It won't be a very large source, but it's something. Unless I cancel the construction. You know, let's cancel this construction. I just lost some resources doing that, but that's fine. And we're going to place you over here instead. This way, we're not taking up any fertile territory. Now, it does mean we're not gaining any logs in the early game until the forester has finished doing their job. But right here, for example, doesn't use up any fertile land. I don't know if that's the right call, but we're going to go for it. Let's try that. Let's try that instead. All right, let's see. So our work stockpile is still finishing up. This plank pile is almost done. This one's about to be done as well, so we need to move. Wait for this worker to be done over here. Somebody's working it, right? Hey, why is no one working? I don't know, maybe because they're just lazy or something? All right, so we have somebody going to be working in the forestry area. So there you go. There's all your terrain. Go ahead and start growing all the happy little trees. Bob Ross would be proud. Platy, do we want to go gather up some lumber? Nah. Let's explore over here as well. Just find out what's nearby first. We can make informed decisions later, right? Hey, science. I want science. Science seems good. Hey, look, you can queue up a movement. I told you. Okay, it did its thing. I like it. If we were going to do some more science, what would I get, though? So, again, a goal has to be getting up to... I think it's hazmat engineering for the environmental station as soon as we can. This does require energy, unfortunately, though. So, we can't actually do anything with this until we find components. So, I think the top priority, then, actually is find components so we can get things like solar panels. There is advanced alternative proteins and protected crops, but again, these require energy to function. Is there anything else? I mean, aside from communal living, I guess, we could get some extra tenement capacity, but that uses up a lot of concrete. I don't think we need to do that right now. Yeah, I think that there's not much to do, aside from literally just looking for components. That has to be priority number one. Are you still gathering the... Oh, we have a meteor shower on the way. All right. Before the apocalypse, people said that when you see a shooting star, you can make a wish and it'll come true. It is hard to believe, because nowadays, when you see a shooting star, we always hope to live through the day because it never works. Sky turns red as burning rocks fall through the atmosphere. Intense showers of deadly objects plummet toward the colony and cause widespread damage. So we need to make sure that everyone has a shelter to stay safe. And then we're going to have to do repairs because things are going to get blown up by meteors. I mean, they, like, just target you. No kidding. Like, oh, you think that the odds of getting hit by a meteor are pretty low? No, they are aiming for you. Somebody up in the sky, some sky god, is deliberately targeting your buildings with meteors. So you will take damage. You need to have some repair materials on hand. That has to be the goal. Let's go ahead and move over to get some concrete because I need to make sure we have those support materials. And plastic-wise, with 2 people working, I think we will be fine. So we'll survive the best we can. It might destroy my crops. I suppose we could try going for an early harvest to make sure that nothing burns down. But we'll worry about that in the next video because we have 2 days before the meteor shower arrives. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, then I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.